Good. Hi, I'm Mduduzi Manana, and this is my profile. Mduduzi Manana hails from a small town called Emelo in the Highveld of Mpumalanga province. I did my primary schooling in Emelo, proceeded to Nelspruit to do my secondary schooling. I then went on to pursue my tertiary education at the University of the Witwatersrand and the University of Natal, now University of KwaZulu-Natal, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Politics and Sociology. I then went on to do my Bachelor of Arts degree in International Politics at the University of South Africa, and I'm currently doing my Master's degree in Global Diplomacy at the University of London. After completing university, or my university education, I went on to pursue business. And obviously I was an activist from the days of courses at high school, went on to lead SASCO, which is the South African Students' Congress. And so I was a young activist and involved in the ANC Youth League and in the ANC. So after serious consideration, the leadership of the ANC felt that I should be deployed as a member of parliament in the National Assembly, meaning in the National Parliament of South Africa. I was then deployed to Parliament in 2009. I was the youngest member of Parliament at the time. 2 years later, I was appointed as the whip in Parliament and as chairperson of various committees in Parliament. And in 2012, the then president, appointed me to the National Executive as the Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training. That's the same year when I actually founded the foundation, the Mduduzi Manana Foundation. Well, I formed the Mduduzi Manana Foundation in 2012 when I was already a member of Parliament. My strong belief has always been that government may not have or should not have all tailor-made solutions to our problems, and especially educational problems. Education is a societal matter. It does not only require government. Of course, government from a policy perspective can lead, but it requires everybody in society to partake in it if we are serious really about creating a more brighter future for our young people and a thriving economy for our country. So I founded the foundation because I had some bit of experience in business. Part of the bottlenecks that I found in government was that it is a highly regulated space. And at times, for instance, I was approached at the time when I was deputy minister that by young people who wanted to study aviation, wanted to become pilots. And unfortunately, government was not funding those people. So I had to then start a foundation to mobilize resources and assist those young people. So basically augment that which government is putting on the table, that which government is doing. And given my experience in business, I had to speak to my colleagues in the business world to put in money so that we can educate these young people that would like to pursue careers that are not ordinarily funded by the state. And of course, It's been growing from then on. I'm happy to say that we've educated a number of young people, black pilots. Some about a year or two ago, I flew from Durban to Johannesburg, and as I landed in Johannesburg, one pilot acknowledged me, and I did not know this person, because at times they find you on Facebook, they find you on Instagram, they DM you, they inbox you, and all of that, and they ask for assistance. And of course, we have to then process their applications and then afford them that opportunity. So when I landed in Joburg, in Johannesburg, he then acknowledged that actually I'm a pilot today, I'm a beneficiary of a foundation that is founded by one of our passengers, and he felt that he should acknowledge. So those are the things that make me sleep. Those are the things that make me continue doing the great work of educating the nation, making sure that young people are able to break the cycle of poverty in their families, in their communities. My motto is education is an immediate equalizer, because it does equalizes. I've seen a number of people that I've educated through my foundation, through interventions in government, who had come from poor families but are doing well today. Well, we are doing a series of programs ranging from early childhood development programs. Having served in the National Cabinet at some point, I realized that actually it is so difficult to persuade young people to have love for education once they're at high school, at university, and all of that. So we've got to convince them once they're still at early childhood development level. And for me, this is what I've been preaching, that your preschools, your early childhood development centers shouldn't be used as centers where young people are just kept because their parents are at work, they eat, they sleep. There has to be some form of education, of course, education that suits their level of development and their age, of course. And so what we then do, we adopt these ECD centers or preschools. We equip them with learning material so that young people, for instance, can, not even young people, these children can, start, appreciating numbers and have love for numbers. And that's the only way we are going to cultivate them to have love for mathematics. We know for the longest time, mathematics, science, accounting, and especially mathematics really, has been considered or has been seen as this monster that is only a preserve of those who are, your A students. Many other people don't want to be associated with it because they feel it's a difficult subject matter. So my view was that I think that is how it has been portrayed. That the method of teaching has been wrong from the onset. If we cultivate, young or children to have love for numbers, to have love for things that would really pick their minds and thoughts about maths, because for me maths is like a game. In many other countries that is how it is taught, but unfortunately in South Africa the method of teaching and learning is a bit different. So we adopt these preschools. We've adopted a number of them, and we also equip the teachers, so that there are synergies between that which they teach and that which is consumed by the children. We're doing this so that the transition from preschool to primary school is smooth, is seamless. By the time they get to primary school, they have this love for numbers. They have this desire to want to start maths. It's not an issue. By the time they get to high school, they're just flowing, and And the reason why we do that, and I insist on maths, on science, on accounting, because many of the careers that are lucrative, that the occupations that are in high demand in South Africa do require maths, science, and accounting. So the major focus is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, focusing on ECDs, but also cushioning those young people who are in high schools. We know that a number of young people from township schools, from rural schools, they would not, on an ordinary day, afford to buy scientific calculators and all of that. So we then equip them with those tools of trade so that they are then able, to thrive in their learning. Because at times you'd find that actually our young people are not doing well in mathematics and science and accounting because they don't have tools of trade to give them that necessary support. Unfortunately, you cannot pass maths, science, and accounting even at matric level without a scientific calculator. For me, a scientific calculator is probably 200 rands, quite cheap, but for many other parents, it's a lot of money. It's money they don't have, that they would not give to their children to buy these tools of trade. So the STEM program is very close to my heart. And of course, when I was in the central government, I realized that even though we celebrate the increase of matric results every year, but we're not doing well in terms of mathematics, science, and accounting. Accounting, we improve from time to time, but with maths and science, we're really not doing so well. Because for the longest time, I've been worried, why are we having unemployed graduates in South Africa? What is this phenomena of unemployed graduates? Why do people go to school, go to universities, and come back and stay at home and become a burden to their parents? What has gone wrong? Is it the quality of education in our universities, in our colleges? What is the issue? But I realized over time, and this is after I hosted a summit where I called industries, I called universities, I called unemployed graduates in one room, one big hall, and I said, let's have a conversation. What is the matter? Why are you unemployed? And I realized then that actually there's a difference between unemployed youth and unemployable youth. The problem is that in South Africa we are dealing with unemployable youth, not unemployed youth. Youth with skills that are not relevant for the needs of the economy. And that's when we then said, let's conduct a skills audit. Let's conduct an audit and really get a sense of what are the skills that are needed by our country, by our economy. What are industries saying? Conducted that audit over a period of time, and the outcome of that was the 100 occupations list which are in high demand in South Africa. Now, interestingly, of the 100 occupations in high demand, 95% of those occupations require mathematics, science, and accounting. And I said, well, if we don't improve here, if we don't do well in really cultivating our young people to not to consider these subjects as these monsters, that they don't want to associate with, but to have love for them, because either you love them or you'll just go and study theology and go home and sit and not get any form of employment. So that's when I had so I participated obviously in other global platforms in my capacity as minister, and I got a sense. I visited Germany at some point, and they told me that actually get this STEM program right. If you get it right, I can tell you, you will get your young people in the right careers, and you will get you. Because if you have a skilled workforce in your country, if you have the right skills for the economy, then I can tell you, you will not have poverty, you will not have unemployment, you will not have inequality. But you have to get the skills right. At some point I visited the Durban University of Technology, and it was one of those random visits that I used to conduct to universities. Now the Vice Chancellor took me around the university. We were doing a walkabout, and I walked into a maritime engineering lecture room, and I found less than 20 young people, and we walked into an HR lecture room, and it was full to capacity. We walked into a PR lecture, it was full to capacity. I said, there's something wrong here. This is an anomaly. We cannot have this kind of a situation in South Africa. If we are really serious about getting our young people into employment opportunities, we then have to change this. But the Vice Chancellor said, career guidance is not our core business as universities. We register students as they come. They come, they look for, they choose particular programs, we enroll them on those programs. But we don't conduct career guidance. That should be done at basic education level. So our major focus is on STEM. I serve now on an AU advisory panel on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, because they've seen the work that I have been doing, but also the work that I was doing in government, paying particular focus to STEM. So those are some of the programs that we are doing. We also have programs on disability where we support special schools. Government does not have enough, in its kitty to support those schools. They do support to a particular extent, but I, again, through my foundation, I'm able to provide additional support for those special schools so that those kids can also find some form of meaning in life, because they may be differently abled, but they're still human beings. We still have to create a future for them. We don't accept funding from external sources. We've had many other people who have seen the great work, who said, you want to put in money? And I said, no, you're not putting money in the foundation. Proceeds of my businesses are going to fund the foundation. But if they want to make a contribution, they should then, in a way, wherever we make a footprint, they should come in and double those efforts. So if you adopt a school, they adopt the next school, so that we are not held accountable for monies that are not ours in the future. Education is really a game changer. I mean, hence I say it equalizes. For me, it is an immediate, it doesn't take time. With education, it's an immediate equalizer.
Well, leadership is really about providing solution to the many challenges that confront us. Being able to lead with fortitude, with great foresight, and to lead people who are solution-oriented. Now, I've never believed that there are no solutions to challenges. I don't believe in challenges. To an extent that I always say, we had a problem this morning in one of my establishments, and somebody calls, and I said, no, call me when you have a solution, because I think that is leadership. I have a particular dislike for people who are not solution-driven, who always want to present challenges. Present a challenge, rather present a challenge as a by-the-way issue. For me, that is leadership, and there's nothing impossible in a leader. So for me, it's having foresight that will help carry many others that you lead, be it in your businesses, be it in the state, be it in society more generally. Inculcating a culture of being solution-driven. Once we are solution-oriented, then we will be able to confront these challenges that we face in society. I think that is leadership, being able to lead with that foresight, to be solution-driven, to always act with greater agents, especially to those who are in need of your leadership. Not everybody is a leader. If you don't accept that challenge of don't complain along with others who complain. No one walks into my office and presents a problem. I dismiss. I don't take those people serious, in actual fact. But you come in with a solution, because you've got to have a sense that now that there is this challenge before us, how to resolve it? Would you consider coming back to government? Well, government is just one vehicle that we use to deliver essential services to our people. For me, government was not status. I went into government already educated, well established in business. So it was an honor to serve. When the president made the call, it was an honor as opposed to it being a status. So I do believe that at a given point, when the leadership feels that I should come back and make a contribution in government, I would really, because of the love of my people, of the capabilities that I believe I have and that I've demonstrated over time, I would take up that challenge and go back. I don't intend going to government and staying there forever. Now, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. Now, I make mention of this all the time, that after my time in business and government, I'd want to go back and then teach. Not for money, because I think I would be old at the time to be seeking anything that is of monetary value. But I'll be doing it because of the love of teaching. But government, we must understand government within context. It's just one vehicle. But government is not the alpha and omega. On our own, in our own corners, in our own spaces, we can, make a change. We can effect a greater change in our people's lives. I'm doing it through my foundation. Long after I've left government, I'm still continuing with that passion that I've always had for education. In fact, Minister Pando was saying, I was even shocked that she's on social media, that you are actually delivering now more than you were when you were in government. I said that's because I understood government within context. I also understood the shortcomings of government. Thank God that I served there for some time. I understood the shortcomings of government. For instance, 2 examples. Government does not give school shoes and uniform to young people. They give food and everything else, but we can then find that niche as business. And because there are young people who still walk to school without shoes, barefoot. There are young people who go to school without proper uniform because they come from poor families. So we can clearly identify that niche and make a contribution in that regard. And in that way, we would have uplifted the life of that particular young person. Government on its own will not be able to resolve all the problems that are there. We do need a social compact, and in that way we can become a developmental state. But if government and people in government don't even understand that, those are the people who lack fortitude. Those are the people who lack leadership, because they don't understand that there's a lot of red tape. Even if you come and say, I'm bringing my money to government, there's red tape. No, you can't do this, you can't do that, because there's no fortitude. They believe no one can ever match government. Government has limitations. Before I joined government, I was a student activist. I used to participate in riots and even lead student protests calling for free education. But I only got an appreciation when I got to government that how do we really, the fiscus can be as constrained as we've seen it in the last couple of years because of the ailing economy. So I was not aware of that. I thought government just has money. There are big rooms with a lot of money in government, and that these people are just refusing to release money. But government, the fiscus is constrained. The economy is not doing well. What are we doing as businesses? And in our own way, we must make a contribution. they've got to respect where they come from. I think the most fundamental value is to respect and cherish and value where you come from. In that way, you'll be able to appreciate the future. If you know you have been given an opportunity, as it was the case, or it is the case with many other young people, that many others have not had the opportunity to get, you know, cherish that. The one thing that I find with young people in South Africa, they have, you know, some sense of entitlement, which is a problem. It is a problem because, you know, even if you're educated by the state, you know, come back and give back. You know, don't have self-entitlement that actually I'm deserving of this. The state owes me. Nobody owes anybody anything. You know, we owe ourselves to do well, and to appreciate where we come from, so that we then understand the future that we are going to. It's a national discourse that we must have where the work ethic in South Africa is somewhat, you know, poor, precisely because people feel entitled. You would know that one of my business interests is I own a wine farm. Now, last Friday I went there. I was in Cape Town for Sona. I went there, and you find young people, the elderly people are working in the vineyards. So I was just making rounds there. The young people are sitting down. Now I say, well, I asked the supervisor, says, no, it's lunch. It's around 12:30. 2:30, they're still sitting there. I said, no, I never have lunch. But I pay these people. They're having a 2-hour lunch. It's a sense of entitlement amongst young people in particular. It's something that pains me, because even those that we educate, you feel this sense of entitlement. They don't pass on record time. They know that this is, for instance, if you are educated by the state, this is taxpayers' money. There are people, we call it free education, but there are people who are actually paying, you know, they're paying taxes for you to go to school. And you go to school, a 3-year degree, you finish it in 6 years, because you have no sense that actually, if I finish in 3 years, there'll be then another person to come in and study. But now, if I stay for 6 years, I'm blocking the next person from coming in. There's no sense, because there's entitlement. No, a government must pay, you know. So some of the things that I say to our beneficiaries, you know, as we make these interventions, this is not entitlement. This is money that I should be otherwise spending with my family. But I'm making these interventions because I'm trying to secure a future for them. And when I speak to them, I say, I'm trying to secure a future for you. But don't feel that I owe you. I don't owe you anything. You know, I'm doing it because South Africa can only succeed if we get our young people going, if we ferry them well to prosperity through education, and we do it out of love for our country and for their future. So the democratic era came with a bit of a baggage, which is worrying me in a big way. And I think I would not have succeeded to this level if I was, you know, thinking like that. I don't sleep. I mean, I arrived from Cape Town last night. I slept at 4 this morning. I had to go to Witbank at 8. That's life. That, for me, that's life. But there's entitlement that I think as we mature in our democracy, we must talk about, and especially amongst young people, because they feel we owe them. Yes, we owe them. We owe them education, but we also owe them. We also owe it to ourselves to teach them responsibility. got to be responsible with whatever interventions were made, whether from government, from the private sector, from everywhere else. They've got to be responsible. They've got to understand that every opportunity comes with responsibility. Siyabulela. Thank you.